Woodshed Theory did its first 3-day market. Was it a failure or a success? Stick around to find out. Hi friends, my name is Claire and this is my channel, Woodshed Theory. Here, I make content about what it is like to live as an adult on the autism spectrum and whatever else feels good to me. So if that sounds good to you, or if you're feeling particularly gracious today, and I hope that you are, please go ahead and click the subscribe button, ring the bell. I almost forgot to mention that sometimes I put out more than one video a month, so click the like and the share. Help out your good friend Claire. Happy Halloween. I think that this video is coming out, hopefully will be Halloween. Wanted to make a video to spend with all of my friends on YouTube. Hope you're having a nice holiday. Also, instead of porch coffee this morning, this is a pumpkin spice milkshake. I wanted a chocolate one, but they were out. This is also very good. Porch milkshake. So, I wanted to talk to you about the market that I did. A few weeks ago, I put out a video about the first market that I did that went super well. And I was so nervous about it, but I went and sold things I had made and pre-loved yarn and vintage items. It was a huge success. So I decided to sign up for another market, this one being a 3-day event, which is a big jump from doing a 1-day event. However, the market's theme was like a fall, autumn theme. And it was right before Halloween, which is today. So I thought this is perfect because I love to make things that are spooky, and I think people will really resonate with that right before Halloween. And I was so inspired to do Woodshed Theory, but Halloween style. First ever 3-day event. The things I was nervous about is it was a juried event, which I have never quite done before, where you sign up and then they choose if you're a good fit for the event. So I was nervous about submitting for that. I was also under the makers part of the event. Because of that, they said I could only bring things I had made. So I couldn't bring my vintage items. I couldn't bring yarn. I was a little nervous about that. But I was really excited about the fact that it was going to be a fallish theme, and I immediately thought of all the cool stuff I could do for that. So I decided to sign up. The fee, highest fee I've ever paid because it was a 3-day event, and they charged parking. So I was pretty confident I'd be able to make back the booth fee and the parking, but it was a big leap having never done the event before, but I thought that it was going to go well. I guess the biggest piece of nerves I had was it just being things that I made, because then there's no real buffer. Also, I didn't have a ton of time to prepare. I've had a busy few weeks, including a family visit, which was awesome, but because of that, I didn't have as much time to make everything that I wanted, especially because I needed more handmade items. Also, the booth was much smaller because I was a maker's vendor at this market. The booth was 6 by 8 when usually you get a 10 by 10. So I had less space to work with, less product to work with, less time to prepare. But I felt like I could really do a good job, so I signed up. Part of the event, it was indoor. They said they were going to dim the lights for the event, and they like to have like a cozy, Christmassy feel, like shopping at like a night market. So they encouraged everyone to bring lights. So because of that, I thought, okay, Halloween, your own lighting. I have purchased in the past few months a lot of glow-in-the-dark yarn, lots of things in neon colors, neon fabric, neon t-shirts, and I thought it would be so cool if we did partially a black light booth. It was gonna be freaking dope. And you know what? It was. I invested some of the money I made from the last fair into a new tablecloth, into different black lights, and I wasn't gonna have electricity either, so I got some backup batteries to run the black lights on, and a few sets of twinkle lights to wrap around things so it just have a cute spooky vibe. As far as what I did to prep, I had really wanted to make some witch hats, some really nice ones, because I learned how to do that last year, but I didn't end up having time to do that. I did make a lot of spiral glow-in-the-dark berets. I thought they would do really good for Halloween. Lots of fluorescent or glow-in-the-dark beanies, also some bright colored beanies, rainbow beanies with no palms on them. I brought all the dresses all the clothes I've recently made to go on the rack. I also brought the spider web dress that I made 2 Halloweens ago. I cleaned it up until it was perfect, and I sewed my tag into it, and I decided I would put that on the mannequin in the front of my display to like bring people in. So I got a fair amount done for only having a few days to really work on this, and I was super excited about what it was going to look like. The first 2 days were kind of nerve-wracking because one was a setup day, and then I did the first day, which was a Friday, on my own. I had help on Saturday and Sunday. Obviously, I was a little nervous to do it myself for the first time, to be alone for the whole day. So on Thursday, I went and set up everything by myself. It took about 4 hours. And then I worked Friday all by myself. As far as how the booth looked, as I said, it was pretty dope. It was really cool. I will insert some footage here. I didn't get much footage. I still haven't figured out the filming at these things, but I'm inserting footage here of how things turned out. It turned out so cool. I really thought about how to set up the booth, even though it was a small space, so people could still walk into the booth to show more things and to talk to me, and how to still display all the things that I wanted to display. Some of the things that I loved were using the grid walls to display the spiral hats, and then I engineered I hot glued a piece of cardboard that had a hat on it to one of those rotating displays, so that and put it up on the grid board so that it looked like one of the spiral berets was spiraling and doing like a Twilight Zone thing. Had black lights over that so everything would glow. I also had some stretchy neon fabric that I found weeks ago that I just thought, I need that. And I used that to cover the 2 mannequins that I had. I sewed covers for it, and then I also sewed covers for the 3 foam heads. Somebody I know lovingly donated to the cause. So everything had like a really cool aesthetic. The tablecloth was some neon fleece that I had purchased when Joanne was going out of sale. I sewed up the corners there and made it look like it was dripping. Thought that was pretty spooky Halloween-y. Covered that with another tablecloth that was like a lace bat tablecloth so that there'd be more interest. I also got the table arch. I thought that would be a great thing to like hang things on while people walked by, like keep it close to the walkway. So I hung some quilted bags that I made on there, and I hung my sign there as well in a neon color so I could light it up with the black light. All in all, I thought it looked really cool, and it really came out great. First things first, here's what I want to say, and let me precurse this because I want to be super careful. The event itself, a lovely event. People, super nice. Vendors, super nice. I had done some research about what it was going to be like. I couldn't find a lot of pictures. I was just kind of going off of what I saw on the internet and what I was reading, and decided it would be that it might be a good fit for me, and decided it might be a good fit for me. It wasn't a good fit for me. And it has nothing to do with the event itself. These just weren't my people. They were lovely people. However, mine was like neon, spooky, alternative haunted house vibes. And that was not the vibe of this market. The first day, I made one sale, and I sold the spiderweb dress pretty quickly within the first few hours. That was super cool. This woman fell in love with it. But I would say 95% of the people who were there on the first day, it was a Friday, so people are at work, were people of a retirement age. Again, there's nothing wrong with that. Lovely people, everyone was super friendly. But if you look at my booth and then you walked around and looked at the other booths about what they were selling, it just wasn't the right market for me. So I learned something there. I made one sale the first day, went back the second day, had a crazy day, made 6 sales. They were good sales. And I'm not unhappy or ungrateful about the sales I had. However, compared to maybe some businesses around me who were way more in line with what this demographic was looking for, it barely any. So it was kind of humbling. I spent the day crocheting, which I have heard is a good thing to do at a booth, because people will come up and be like, oh, you actually are making it, and look at you working. And that's completely true. So I would suggest that. I had a lot of time to finish a few extra projects, but in general, first day, one sale. Second day, Saturday, my big day, I sold I think I sold just a bunch of hats. I think that's everything. Yeah, I sold a bunch of hats. Some that I've had for a while with pom-poms, some in the new style that I'm doing with the tag in the front, the Woodshed Theory tag in the front, logo beanies, as I was calling them. So I sold a bunch of hats. I don't know how many it was in the 6. I think maybe 3, 2, maybe 6 to 8 hats. So not bad sales. The 6 sales that I had that day, not bad sales. I will say, the people who came into my booth and loved it. And that made me feel really good, because it can be difficult when you're just like sitting there and going like, wow, I'm a fish out of water here. I want to make it clear, I'm not complaining. I learned a lot. I met some lovely people. I made some good sales. I got my name out there. This just wasn't maybe the market for me. Oh, did I mention? So I did everything blacklight because they were going to dim the lights. And in our building, they did not dim the lights. So the black light kind of was like, wah, wah. I went to walk around, and other buildings had dimmed lights. Ours did not. I wasn't expecting the room to be like dark, but I was expecting it to be like at least a little twilighty. That was unfortunate, because I planned this like really cool looking booth around black lights. Not that that crowd maybe would have appreciated it anyway. They still would have thought it was like, what is this person doing here? However, everyone was so nice. I had lots of compliments on how beautiful the booth was. But I mean, I walked around, I saw the kind of stuff that they had. Beautiful stuff, beautiful vendors, beautiful booths. But it was, Christmas ornaments and grandma sweaters, like totally fine, cool stuff, cool fare, but not necessarily the type of people who be buying my stuff. So that was something that I really learned from that market. Third day, I made 2 sales. Ooh. I think on the third day I sold 1 hat and 1 online weekender bag. Neither of those have been on the website yet, so I can't really show you what they look like. I'll try to get some pictures and insert them. So yeah, last day, 2 sales. Definitely less people there on the last day, and also it rained and it wasn't supposed to, so that probably had less people there. It was just a complete opposite of the first market that I had done, where I made 36 sales in one day, and this I did 8 sales in 3 days. So very different than I thought it was gonna go. However, I did feel really encouraged that if I find the right markets, I know that I could do really well at them. That was really encouraging to me. In general, I learned that if I'm unsure about a market and its vibe, and I can't find anything when I'm doing research online, I should email the coordinators and kind of ask them some questions to see if I would be a good fit. That's the one thing I would change there, because again, lovely event, just not the right fit for me. It was a little discouraging in the moment, but I'm not discouraged about it now. I'm not gonna quit my dream just because it went okay. I was blessed enough to make the booth fee and the parking fee back, and a little bit over that. In my mind, it wasn't a failure, but it also wasn't a huge success. I'm saying this with the utmost gratefulness to all the people who supported my small business over the weekend. And it was so cool seeing people really love my stuff. The people who did get my stuff didn't even really think about it. They walked up, they looked at it, they were like, yes, and they made purchases. That made me feel really good. And it's really cool when people buy clothing that you've made. The spider lady dress was amazing, and I wasn't sure if anyone was gonna appreciate it like I did, but a lady found it and she loved it so much. She tried it on right there in my booth and bought it. So that was super cool. However, I made that dress a few years ago, so I didn't have a bunch more Halloween costumes or clothing to sell. So if I had to redo it, or I guess we could call this what did I learn? If you're unsure if a market is the right fit for you and you're having trouble while you're researching the market, finding out what kind of market it is, I should have contacted them and asked a few more questions. Every market is different. I guess that's the second thing I learned. Thank goodness I made back a little more than my fees. I'm grateful for that. But the other market I did went amazing. It is more fun when you're selling a lot of things as opposed to hoping and waiting and answering questions and it not really, people kind of passing or not looking at your booth at all. I think it was just so different than some of the other booths. So yeah, the second thing I learned is every market is different. Sometimes it's going to be a slam dunk. Sometimes it's not going to be the right market for your brand. And that doesn't mean that I'm a failure. It just means that it wasn't the right fit for me. And I don't have to do that show again. I can find other shows that are a better fit. I did end up making, I don't know if you guys remember, but when Joann's was closing the last day at my store, my local store, I thought I bought 10, but there were 8 neon orange medium shirts, and I made them into jack-o'-lantern shirts to sell as like a special for the show because Halloween was coming up. And I would have sold a bunch of them if I had extra large, but unfortunately everyone who came up asked for a large, extra large, and then I had to say I only had a medium. So I wish that is something I would change too, but when I bought the t-shirts, they were only mediums left. So I think if there had been kids or more kids at the event, maybe those could have sold. I think it was pretty funny because basically everything that I prepped for the show that was kind of Halloweenish, none of it sold. Like the spiral beanies, the neon beanies didn't sell. I sold a few brightly colored beanies, the rainbow, and then there's like a neon multi, but it's kind of more toned down. I didn't sell any of the amazing glow-in-the-dark swirl. So that's what surprised me. The things that I was like, this is going to be so cool for Halloween, people are going to love it, were a bust there. However, I feel like I'll just take them to the next event and they'll sell well somewhere else, maybe. Or maybe it's okay to learn like that some ideas aren't good ones, even though I think it's cool personally. Just got to find the right audience for it. Will I be going back to this particular event? No. Wish them all the success in the world. Seemed like they had a good event. Not the right one for me. I did get some advice from some people around me who were vending, saying that maybe I could come back and kind of tweak what I'm making so that more people there would enjoy it. I think that I would rather make the things I enjoy and be in the right venue to sell them than change what I'm making in order to sell it to someone. I hope I'm making sense. So, was this kind of a wash? Did I learn a lot? Yes. Met great people. Made a few sales. Got more experience under my belt as a market vendor. Had a really cool setup. I wish that we could have done the blacklight better and that they would have dimmed the lights. That didn't happen. It would have been so much cooler. But all in all, I was so happy with how the setup was and how cool it looked. And I thought it looked really professional and really neat. And I don't know that I would change much about it other than getting better batteries to run the lights if I have to do that, because lights suck a lot of energy out of a battery pretty quickly. So I probably would find a way to improve that. Overall, enjoyed it. I'm very grateful that I made back my fees plus a little. If it had been a weekend of loss, I don't think I would be in such a good mood about it, you know. Basically, I put in a lot of work just for some experience. So that's but also, you know, these things will happen when you're trying something new. All of the cool items that I made for the market hopefully will be on my website in the next few days. So watch out for that. I just have to photograph everything and put them on listings on my site, which takes a little while. Oh, also, I've recently come into some amazing new yarn to put on my website, so that's also cool. And I have been getting orders occasionally on the website, and that feels so good. It feels like I'm doing the right thing, and it makes me happy. So, on to the next, I guess. I don't have anything scheduled right now, but I've been researching a lot of different events that are coming up that might be a good fit for me. And we'll see if maybe we can get in on some of those before the end of the year and start signing up for next year. That's something else I learned for markets. People start planning like a year out. How was I supposed to know that? I'm new. Anyhow, thank you for listening to me talk about my market. And it's been fun to contemplate what was successful and also contemplate how I could do better in the future and how I can set myself up for success in the future. So that's cool. I'm really happy with that. I hope you all have a wonderful Halloween. Stay safe, enjoy, whether you stay in or you go out, whether you do everything or you do nothing. Hope you're having a nice day. I think that's it for me. I'm gonna sit here and finish my pumpkin spice milkshake. Let me know how you're doing in the comments. Have you ever had an experience where you thought it would go differently? How did you handle it? What did you learn from it? Thank you all for all of your constant support and kindness, and I will see you next time. Bye, friends.